I have 9:30. Are we ready?
Giving Sasha just a minute.
Okay.
Chair and Commissioners, you should be live.
Good morning. I'm Chair Brian Moffitt. I would like to welcome everyone to the May 14th, 2021 Asheville Downtown Commission. The Asheville Downtown Commission was created by the City Council for the sustainability and continued development of downtown. Our 11 commission members make recommendations to council on downtown policies and initiatives, as well as providing design review for major development projects. Today we have presentations regarding design-related feedback, our design review committee for 4 Point Sheraton and 120 Biltmore Avenue, as well as our normal updates and reports. All committee members and staff are participating virtually today. We appreciate your patience as we work through our committee meetings in this manner. We are streaming live on our virtual engagement hub, which is accessible through the virtual engagement hub link on the front page of the city website and also linked on the Downtown Commission committee page. We also have an option for the public to listen live by phone. For those of you who are out with us today, welcome. I will now go through and introduce our committee members who are participating virtually. For everyone on on the call, please make sure to mute your microphone if you are not speaking. When you have a question or you would like to speak, unmute then. Committee members, as I call your name, please say a quick hello. Dane Berringer. I see you, but I don't hear you. All right.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Wonderful. Very good. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Commissioner Franzi Charon.
Morning.
Good morning. Commissioner Andrew Fletcher, rocking the stash. Where's he? There he is. Andrew.
Good morning.
Good morning. I think Commissioner Hunter is unable to join us this morning. Don't see her. Is that correct? Okay. Commissioner Stephen Lee Johnson.
Yes, good morning.
Commissioner Robin Rains.
Here, good morning.
Commissioner Guillermo Rodriguez.
Here.
There he is. Commissioner Megan Rogers.
Here.
Commissioner Ruth Summers.
Good morning.
And Sage Turner, representing City Council and now out of the gas line.
I have a full tank of gas and I'm here. Thank you for, sorry, I'm a little late. Good morning, everyone.
And I have an electric car.
To help our audience follow along, I will state each section of the agenda aloud and do a vocal roll call for each vote. Additionally, commissioners, you know this, please raise your hand to speak, and I'll try to call upon you. I'll juggle this as best I can. This morning, we are taking public comment, I believe. Is this the right time to announce that, Dana? I think that's right. Yes, okay. So in addition to pre-recorded and or emailed, we did receive one item, a pre-recorded note. We will also be taking live public comments for up to an hour. Each speaker will have up to 3 minutes for public comment. And we will now connect live calls from our speaker queue for informal discussion and public comment. Correct? I think I'm doing this correctly. This is my first time trying this.
We don't have any live callers in the queue at this moment. We do have approval of the minutes on the agenda first, so we may want to just check back after getting through that.
Yeah.
Thank you. All
right. So we have two draft minutes. First one from our February 26th meeting. I assume everyone has been able to read that. Do we have any corrections? Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes, and I want to thank Dana for spelling my name correctly.
All right. Is there a second for the February 26th, 2021
I will
meeting?
second that. This is Gio.
Thank you. Oh boy, I have to do a roll call. Do you folks want to vote on both of them at the same time? Is that acceptable? I think we can do that. Let's do that. The next, same thing for the Friday, March 12th draft minutes. Any corrections? Can I have the same two folks motion and second, please?
Yeah, I move that we approve it.
I second.
Thank you very much. All right. So I'll go back through and do a roll call vote. Commissioner Barringer,
I agree.
Commissioner Charon,
Aye.
Commissioner Fletcher,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Rains,
It looks like she hit the wrong button.
Okay, we'll loop back. Oh, she's coming back. I'll come right back to her. Commissioner Rodriguez,
Aye.
Commissioner Rains,
Aye.
Commissioner Rogers,
Aye.
Commissioner Summers.
Aye.
Very good. And I vote aye as well. And
Aye.
yes, thank you, Sage. Very good. That is the minutes are approved. So again, we will be looking, I think everyone should have a copy of the agenda where we're going to look at update the rules of procedure. We'll do some project review, South Slope Vision Plan updates, and then our updates and reports. So we still don't have any callers in the queue. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Is this the proper time to read the voicemail that we received? Do we need to read that or just forward it?
You don't need to read it. So it's part of as the process entails us sharing that with you all. You could acknowledge it. You don't need to read it. The public comment was provided.
Okay. So we did receive a transcript of a voicemail from Peter Landis regarding the noise ordinance. And so we can discuss that when we get down to that part of the report in our agenda. Very good. Okay. All right. So our first item of new business would be updates to rules of procedure. And I'm assuming everyone has a link to that. I've got too many documents open. Okay. So we discussed that at the last meeting. We have basically a change to Article 6, subitem B and C, a change for temporary subcommittees and working groups. Do we have any discussion on this matter or any questions?
If I hear none, I move that we approve the motion.
Okay, I'll second it.
Second. Okay.
Very good.
Need music to play during these pauses.
We have a motion and a second to approve the updates to the rules of procedure. So I will go through a roll call vote. Commissioner Barringer.
Aye.
Commissioner Charon.
Aye.
Commissioner Fletcher.
No.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Rains.
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
Aye.
Commissioner Rogers.
Aye.
Commissioner Summers.
Aye.
And Council Lady Turner.
Aye.
And I am aye as well. The motion carries with 1 no vote. All right, project review and feedback, design related feedback. So I think you folks know that the City Council has adopted the Design Review Committee, which will be reviewing essentially all design related projects within the City of Asheville, I think, except for projects within the Historic Resources District, the historic districts within the City of Asheville. So that's going to be anything in the downtown district, the River Arts District, as well as the any of the properties or projects identified as part of the new hotel ordinance. So as we are looking at these projects this morning, this is our first stab at this. So I think we're all going to be figuring it out, but we still have the ability to make comments on design related issues, but I want to make sure we focus those things on as they relate specifically to policies, more policy or even process related design, rather than just reviewing the design itself. In other words, I believe the way the process is supposed to work is we will review it. Staff will then communicate any of our issues or concerns or just notes to the design review committee. The design review committee will review it. They'll get other feedback from other committee or commissions, and then they will take that to planning and zoning and or city council, depending on the project. So I realize that probably wasn't as clear as I'd like it to be. Are there any comments or questions just regarding the process? Sasha, do you want to correct everything I said?
No, you're not wrong. I do think, though, and we talked about this with the Riverfront Commission last night, if you have non-design review concerns or comments, and so for one of these projects, it's a conditional zoning, staff will take those comments and make sure planning and zoning and city council knows about them as well. So don't feel completely hemmed in by design, right? So we've got design comments going to design review committee. And we've got, if you've got real non-design concerns, we do want to hear those. You know, we have limited for a level 2. If it's a by right project, then we have limited power to, you know, if you're not happy with something that's not designed, it's a more limited case.
And I would just add that even for level 2s, I think it's appropriate to comment on non-design related items as well. That can either help influence policy or development requirement changes in the future, or it could just simply be communicated back to the applicant, and that's something that they could potentially consider or act on.
Agreed. I meant to say that you know, we obviously want to. I would like to actually focus our issues on so-called non-design or overlapping design. I'll put it that way. I would like for the purely design issues to remain with the design review committee, whereas our discussion should be related on policy or procedures or things that are not necessarily design related. For example, the use of the project, or if it's a conditional zoning, is this a proper use? Is this a how are they utilizing the property? What are their projected impacts, economic impacts, parking impacts, noise impacts, those kinds of issues, and any others you can think of. You folks know your constituency better than I do. Does that make sense so far as procedurally? Okay. Well, we'll try it and see how it goes. So our first item is the 4 Point Sheraton mixed use development. Hopefully you all have had the ability to look at the information that was provided to us. And with that, I will turn it over to whichever staff is going to talk us through this project. Shannon, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, commissioners. I am presenting from home. The gas crisis has limited my mobility. Hopefully later today that will get resolved. But I am presenting from home, so I just have a single screen. So I'm going to share my screen. But when I do that, I cannot see your faces. So if you need me to pause and explain anything as I go, if you could please just speak up and let me know, and I'll pause. So, and I will start sharing here. And please let me know when you see my screen.
We can see it.
Great, thank you. Had to scroll back to the beginning. So as Chair Moffett has described, this is our first go round with getting feedback on certain development projects located in our downtown from the Downtown Commission. So just as a reminder, the project review steps, we have 2 items on your agenda today, a conditional zoning and a level 2. And the first handful of steps are the same for both. So we normally will start with informal design review. This will be something that we are exploring or will be exploring with our new design review committee, how best to accommodate this. Assuming we can figure out something, this will be an optional step and will probably occur prior to formal application. The first step, once an application is received, will be technical review. Beyond that, once approved at technical review, it'll come before the Downtown Commission for your feedback, then on to design review for that more detailed design review step, and then on to the Planning and Zoning Commission. If it's a level 2 project, that will be the final step. It'll end at Planning and Zoning Commission. If it's a conditional zoning, it'll move on to City Council. This commission will also see level 1s from time to time. We don't have any on today's agenda, but the review steps would be the same. Those first 4 review steps would be the same, except technical review, instead of being done by a formal committee, it's done at a staff level, but it's still the same review step. So the first project is the property located at 22 Woodfin, or it's what a lot of people may recognize as the 4 Points Sheraton. And this is a conditional zoning due to the scale of the project. The property is currently located in the CBD. The conditional zoning requires that you rezone to one of the city's expansion districts. And that, in this case, the appropriate expansion district would be the CBD expansion. The proposal is for basically it's a very large building addition. It's a 7 to 11 story, depending on which facade you're looking at. And it is a building addition that wraps around the existing 4.5 story, 150 room hotel. So the existing hotel is retained, and then we have this new addition construction that kind of wraps around it. There are approximately 155 or so units in that addition, so residential units. I'm saying that approximately 40 will be set aside as extended stay suites. We don't exactly know the exact number yet. We know that the applicant is shooting for 80 guest rooms that will be part of the extended stay hotel. However, we don't know how many of those units are 2 bedrooms or 1 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms. So we're just kind of estimating about 40 of those 150 some units will be extended stay suites. Whatever that number ends up being, the balance will be residential dwelling units. And the applicant is proposing a mix of condominium and apartment units. Then at the ground level, we have approximately 8,000 square feet of commercial or non-residential space. And the project also proposes a mix of structured and surface parking. So for context, I've provided some aerial imagery. You can see the 4 Point Sheraton project there in the middle of the property, or in the middle of the screen. To the south is Woodfin. To the east is Central Avenue. And then to the west is the on-ramp to 240 East. So that's the ramp that goes to 240, and you can see 240 there on bordering the property to the north. Across, for context, across the street on Central Avenue is the YMCA. Looking at the site plan, you can see that the footprint basically grows, and that's because of this new building addition that wraps around the building. The existing driveway cut on Woodfin remains to that, and it goes to that surface parking lot there on the west side. I think from what I recall, that entrance does shift a little bit to the east in order to kind of provide a little bit more room and space to queuing traffic getting onto that I-240 ramp. There is a new driveway entrance that's also proposed on Woodfin that enters into the parking structure. And then the vehicular entrance on Central Avenue into that north parking area remains in the same location, or approximately the same location. Another change on Woodfin Street that I'd like to point out as a result of this project is the applicant is proposing to reduce the lanes on that north side, or the would be the westbound side, from 2 lanes to 1 in order to accommodate some on-street parking and to provide sort of a nice, generous pedestrian zone. That's to help support that retail, commercial retail corner. This project does require a TIA. We're still waiting for the results. So this is something that could potentially change as a result of the TIA and further discussion, but at this time we're including it in the project. Looking at the building elevations now, we start with the primary elevation, which is the south elevation from Woodfin. I don't know if it's Woodfin Place or Woodfin Street, so I'll have to double check that. But you can see the ground level retail there at the street level. The few parking spaces that are proposed to be added on street, you can see there on the right-hand side of the screen. But we basically have a 7-story building here on the street, with that ground level. The step backs have also been provided that would normally be required for a downtown project, and they're provided on the end. So on the right-hand side would be the intersection with Central Avenue, and you can see the project steps back from that side. Turning the corner on Central Avenue, you have the same 7 stories that are on that left-hand side that kind of front on Woodfin, but you see the elevation start to drop along Central Avenue, and you pick up some additional stories and some additional sort of just foundation or, kind of just visual impact. You also, I'll point out, see the end of the existing hotel. That is that sort of blank wall kind of in the middle of the screen. And because of that, this project will be required to request some modifications or exceptions to the downtown design standards for fenestration, blank wall, and also setbacks. But it's to accommodate that existing hotel building. The applicant has attempted to mitigate some of that with this terraced wall that you kind of see in the middle of the screen here, with some vegetation. And along both Woodfin and Central Avenue, we do have nice wide sidewalk that will be rebuilt as part of the project. Then turning the corner, looking at the back of the building, basically from I-240, this would be the view from the parking lot or I-240. Here you start to see some of those additional stories. At the tallest, it's 11 stories, and you can see how, where the elevation drops off, we pick up those additional stories. And then lastly, on the west elevation, this is on the ramp side. You can see again some of that additional height, but you can see it start as we get closer back to Woodfin, it starts to drop in scale again on that right side of the building. I should pause here too and just point out that in addition to some exceptions for fenestration and blank wall and setback on the central side, this project will also require an exception or a modification for the horizontal width or the horizontal dimension of a building for the stories that are above 75 feet. The downtown code limits that to 145 feet. There's a couple elevations on this project that exceed that 145 feet above 75 feet. So that will be a requested modification as well as part of this project. So that concludes my summary. I'd be happy to answer any questions or would just welcome any feedback that the commission might like to offer.
It'll be really difficult not to talk about design. So you said the traffic impact analysis has been not been submitted yet. Is that correct?
It's been submitted. It's a pretty lengthy process. It's been the applicant's part has been done. It's been submitted to the DOT. And the last I heard, we had not yet heard back from the DOT what their results or their conclusions are. So that's the stage that we're in right now.
I think I see Ruth's hand.
I was just curious, is this still including an Earth Fair?
The last we heard is that there was a proposal to include the Earth Fair, that like kind of micro Earth Fair, as that main commercial piece at the ground level. But as far as our consideration, in meeting the downtown requirements, we just refer to it as like non-residential commercial retail space. So it could be a different retailer, but the last we heard from the applicant, that was the plan.
Stephen Lee, I see your hand.
Thank you. Just to make sure I understand exactly what it is we're doing. We're not providing design feedback or questions regarding design. This is more of an informative review of what has been submitted, Shannon?
Yeah, I mean, it's okay to offer it. What we're asking for is feedback in general.
Okay.
Your feedback is design related, then we'll share that with the design review committee.
Okay. My question is, I don't see the site package in the TRC documents on the link, and maybe I'm missing it, but really, and if the design team is here, I just had a question about, do the elevations show where the cooling tower will be screened and what that will look like? Has that been developed? I guess that's the first question.
There is just at this stage, it's usually it still can be relatively schematic.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't often see all of the mechanical equipment for these elevations, but it is a requirement in the downtown that all of that mechanical equipment be screened.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
that might be something that we look at in more detail during design review, and to verify that that's accomplished at the final technical review.
Okay, my next question, I know had been talk earlier about a portion of one of the roofs having a green roof component. Are there any components now that are shown in the submittal to TRC?
Our understanding is there is still a green roof included in the project, and I saw that Peter had joined the meeting, and we may need him to verify exactly where. It's not the whole roof; it's just a portion of the roof, I believe, that is a green roof.
And are the site plans on the link, the TRC link? Because I don't see any site plans.
I thought they were. So, the applicant submitted a revision, a revised set of drawings after TRC, and that is what we linked the agenda to. Mm-hmm. So I thought there were site plans in that, but we may have missed it. And if that's the case, I can go back and enter them if anybody wants to look at them later.
Okay. My last point is,
My
last point, and this is for Sasha as well, because I know she and I have been talking about this, but if, I know there's probably sidewalk details that are going in this. They're also in the project that we're reviewing next. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask the question because it seems to be the same design team, but I would like to suggest that the Downtown Commission consider making the recommendation to staff that the sidewalk construction detail reference what was recently installed on Haywood Street in terms of scoring. I think both of these projects are still are showing what has been typically approved, but Sasha, you probably know what I'm talking about, but the scoring that we've been talking about, was installed on Haywood Street, I think is a much better solution, and it still achieves the same visual look, I think, and it's a lot cleaner and easier to keep clean. And so I'd like to throw that out there just as a
I just want to make sure I understand. You're suggesting that the detail we used on Haywood Street be what this project uses.
Correct. And then across the board, I noticed some concrete going in on a project this morning downtown, and it's still the same scoring pattern that we've all been using. And the saw cutting is just a much better way to go rather than the physical score.
Yeah. Okay.
And I will just add right there that I think what they installed on Haywood is very similar to what's on Biltmore north of Hilliard. So it actually, for 120 Biltmore, would actually make a lot of sense to continue that pattern.
And so for the rest of the commissioners, what we're talking about is just instead of having a tooled joint in the concrete that makes that herringbone pattern, it is a saw cut joint that's a lot easier for disabled pedestrians and also keeping clean. So, but a very minor point. That's my last comment. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, Stephen Lee. I don't find that minor, and I'm glad we're talking about it. Much better.
All right, I've got 3 hands up. I think I see Dane's hand up first. We'll go with him, and then I'll pick up Andrew and Gio.
Yeah, I like Stephen Lee's suggestion on the sidewalk. In fact, I think, you know, we were talking about changing the standard on sidewalks. Maybe we should forward that over to the new design committee that should be adopted for downtown as a standard, so that, you know, that goes to all the developers when they first, you know, start their projects rather than in the middle like now. But I do think that's a good suggestion. But overall, I like this project, especially because it's 2 blocks from my house. You know, I think it's good to have the residential units downtown as opposed to just hotels. And I do like the extended stay. That's something that we're lacking currently. You know, we have plenty of tourist hotels at $600 a night. But somebody that's coming here to work, and we have a lot of construction workers in town these days working on various projects, you know, they're having to live outside the city wherever they can find a place, or commute from as far as Tennessee. I've talked to some of these people. So I do think this is a good project. It did seem to me that on the TRC review, there were quite a few things that were missing or had not been determined yet, but I assume those are going to get filled in before it goes to design review.
Yeah, the applicant has actually already submitted some of that missing information, and so the report just hasn't been updated, but I think we have most of what we need to move along.
Okay, Andrew, I think I see your hand up, and then I'll get Gio.
Yeah, I gotta say this is really hard when our only source of information is the TRC documents and the staff reports, because the staff obviously spend time on it, but not as much time as the applicants. And without the presence of the applicants here to really fill in the color on these sketches, it can be, I think it's a lot of time and not necessarily a lot of public benefit for this. Certainly interesting as a downtown commissioner, but I'm not really sure what past the TRC submissions that we're really getting. I'd also like to note that this is probably my only chance to take a little credit for one of the contributions here that I'm personally proud of. It lines up with a lot of the work that I've done in the city, which is expanding public space, expanding sidewalks, and the little mini road diet on Woodfin was an idea that I suggested to the applicant, and I'm very glad to see that the idea has had legs and has moved on here. I was inspired by what was the good work that was done on Charlotte Street to look at how we could take a 4-lane highway here, take this opportunity to partner with a private developer and ask them to use some more of that asphalt to give it to pedestrians and other uses. So I'm really pleased to see that idea has had legs and will continue to go on. I'm a little dismayed to see the incorporation of hotel use here, the addition of hotel use, which was a new, which is a newer feature to this plan that did not originate originally. So my enthusiasm for this project has waned some as the use of the project has changed as well. But as I believe we're not voting on this, I believe that's a moot point. Thank you.
Gio.
This is a little bit soon because we just had a meeting of our open space subcommittee yesterday, and I'm not I don't have the site plan in front of me, but are the trees planted on Woodfin, are they going to be in a tree lawn, or are they going to be within the sidewalk area? And let me ask that question first.
So it will be a combination, I believe, of some trees planted in a planting strip, like an open strip, and then some in tree grates. So where you have on-street parking, we typically like to have trees and grates because you have a lot of people getting out of cars and walking across what could be the, the root zone of a tree if it was in a strip. So you've got some strip here, and then you've got maybe a little bit here. Some of that is also could change as a result of whether or not these spaces stay and the little road diet is approved and doesn't create any issues as part of the TIA. So that is still something being adjusted, but whether it's in a strip or in a grate, it'll meet some basic city standards.
Well, that is why I brought it up, because just yesterday we were talking about some basic city standards about requiring silver cells in the sidewalks, and I don't know if it's too soon to be able to apply that to this particular project. I just wanted to put the question out there because, and I'll get to it in my little report on the open space, but we really would like to see when trees are planted within sidewalks, within this sort of this floating sidewalk system, to use the silver cells as a new or as a new design guideline for downtown. That was my comment.
I would echo that we just want them to pursue best practices with that, regardless of what the current standards may or may not allow. Franzi, is that your hand up?
Yeah, I was just gonna piggyback on that comment and ask, so on the south side where the pool is right now and that buffer of trees is, that's all gonna be removed and replaced with building, is that correct?
That's correct. Stephen Lee, is your hand up again?
It is. I would like to add, Gio, with your comment too, during the design review portion of this, we did encourage the site team to consider silver cells in the concrete. That's why I was asking where I don't see the site plan. So usually if we're getting kind of a final review, we're seeing a site plan with exactly what's occurring with the site in terms of the street tree requirement. So, but we're trying to point this out in all the design review meetings, but I completely agree that a lot of people are doing it now anyway, putting silver cells up. We kind of consider that it's a given, you have to do it, but it's just not mandated, and it would be great if it was. Thank you.
Shannon, I was able to get to all of that stuff, including the TIA, just by backing up a level to the one from March.
So I think the revised maybe perhaps didn't include the site elevations. So if we go to here's the landscape plan.
While you're showing that, I think I saw Megan's hand go up, and then I see you, Gia.
So I apologize if this is a dumb question, but can someone clarify extended stay for me? Is that just the type of unit offered? Is it a minimum night stay? I just was hoping to
Yeah. So an extended stay includes, it's basically a residential unit. It has bedrooms, bathroom, and kitchen. So it better supports a quote unquote extended stay.
But
in this project, so both of these projects are a little bit unique. They have a little bit of a unique model in that they include condominiums that will be sold to individual property owners. But those condominiums will be part of the hotel management, and they will be managed as extended stay units.
Okay, and then just quickly, if I could just also say that I wanted to support Stephen Lee's suggestion about the type of sidewalk that works really well here on Haywood Street. I've seen a difference. And then just thank Andrew for his suggestion to narrow Woodfin and provide more pedestrian space. I think that's an asset for this project as well.
Quick clarification, because maybe I didn't understand. I see you, Sage. I'm sorry. There's 150 room existing hotel, are they adding hotel rooms? I thought they were keeping that the same number.
Right. So the existing hotel is just your traditional hotel, and that stays as is. But the addition, the new building addition, will have some 150 units. Of those 150 plus units, a portion, approximately 40 or so, will be set aside as those condominiums that are used as extended stay hotel suites. So they will be managed with the 150 room hotel, but so it is an expansion of the hotel use on the property. But the existing 150 room hotel stays the same, and it's part of the new construction that is the expansion.
Okay, thank you. Sage and then Robin.
Has since we're talking about more than design, have any price points been mentioned by the developer, or any for sale condo prices, anything?
I have not heard any. The developer might be able to answer that.
And I want to make sure I understand the extended stay managed by the hotel. Isn't this kind of what we saw at the Star building originally proposed, where we got into that gray area of short-term rentals, but because they had a management company managing them?
That's correct. So, and that's something that the city continues to discuss. If whether or not we want to try to promote and allow sort of a broad application of the extended stay use as part of a lodging facility in order to get the public benefits, or is this something that we don't think is appropriate or fits the vision for the city and pull back on that and narrow the definition of an extended stay?
One last clarifying point then. So this other stuff we're looking at outside of this room, at this discussion about the STRs and the 1 per rule. So if this were a series of condos, technically they're under application right now. They could apply to have 1 owner for all of them, hire the management company to do it. But if that latter rule that we've been evaluating were in place, they would not be able to do that, right?
No. So extended stay is classified differently as a short-term vacation rental. So as the definition for extended stay is today, it just requires that the unit, it doesn't speak to ownership. It just requires that the units be managed collectively as part of a hotel.
Thank you, Shannon.
Yeah.
Robin, did you have something, or?
I was basically going to get the clarification that Sage had, because to me, the extended stay sounds like a verbo. I mean, I don't know. Speaking to Dane's comment about how great this would be for construction workers and things like that, I don't know who's going to set the price point. So if it's an individual condo owner, I don't understand how it's different than a verbo.
I don't believe it would be set by the individual condo owner. It's part of the hotel. So our understanding is this would be a Marriott flag, the hotel, and these extended stay units would be part of that hotel management.
Okay.
Sasha.
Hey, I'm not going to wade into any of that because Shannon's the expert, but I just wanted to tell you all, I know Andrew left, he had to go, but it's absolutely appropriate for you all to weigh in and send a message to council. And it wouldn't have to be at this meeting. It could be at a future meeting. If you have really strong feelings about the added hotel use here, you should not feel constrained. I mean, that's not a design review issue, obviously, but it will be at council. So, and you're an advisory body to council. So I just want to be super clear because Andrew said something about it being a moot point, and it's not a moot point at all.
And I'm listening, y'all. I'm listening. I love this board. So, give your input.
So I also wanted to point out something. It was in the staff report, and I think it's on some of the elevations. When we did the initial design review under the older system, we kept, or at least I know Robin and I kept pointing out that they were leaving the existing blank end of the existing hotel building along Central untouched, and we kept asking them to do something about it, and they're asking for a So this, in my opinion, this is where we can, and should, as the Downtown Commission, weigh in. So when they're asking for a variance or something under conditional zoning, and it is a design issue, but it's a variance, then this is appropriate for us to say something. And I still don't like it. And I'd just like to communicate that as strongly as possible to the Design Review Committee, that we ask the applicant to address that. I don't buy the notion that they can spend however many millions of dollars on the whole property and leave this little wart facing Central Avenue. So I'll stop there.
I agree.
Gio?
I'm glad you brought. I just wondered in the other discussions that we had previously that I was not a part of, but I listened in on. Was there any mention of maybe putting some art or something of interest on that wall?
Somebody suggested it. I remember hearing it. I can't remember who it was. I still don't feel like it's been addressed. I don't buy the notion that you can't cut in windows. You can't do something to that facade to make it, to incorporate it into the rest of what they're doing. It just looks weird. I'm not sure I understand why they can't address that. That's just me. Are there any other? This has been a good discussion. So I'm a little unclear on procedure. Are we voting on this?
There's no vote. We're just gonna take the feedback that you've offered and distill it and carry it forward. The design review related or the design related comments to the new committee, and then for other concerns, we'll make sure that it gets shared with council and the Planning and Zoning Commission.
So will this be coming back to us at all?
No.
Okay, you heard it, folks. So if you have any other comments, please make them. I see Sage, I see your hand up, and then I see Dana. Sage, you're muted.
Oh, sorry, wrong button. I'm just curious where y'all sit about any input on the hotel, the extra rooms. To Andrew's point, it was originally, supposed to be all long-term residential. And if you have any feedback, I'd like to hear it.
Then I see, I think Dana was right before Ruth.
I'll just say, and Sasha kind of mentioned this, and I don't know if she said it specifically, but if at some point, whether it's this project or a future project, if you would like to vote on a resolution specific to the project, we can pass that on to City Council. So we're not saying that there can never be a vote in some form on these projects. And I just want to put that out there. It's a work, we're going to get through this over time and it'll get clear over time. And, but yeah.
Right. We'll tighten up this process a little bit, I think. And so maybe we can, when we were listening to you, we can come up with a bulleted list and read it back to you, make sure we've got everything. And I don't know if you're going to meet in June, but if you did meet in June and you wanted to consider, because obviously y'all didn't come prepared to make a resolution, but if you wanted to think about it and when you get back together, I'm not sure, Shannon, when this is scheduled to go to council, but I would imagine that it won't be before July for sure.
It's likely August.
So you would either have a June or July meeting if you all wanted to. And I'm just really mentioning this about the hotel use in specific because I know this is a very sensitive issue for you all and for the community. But if that's,
I see Ruth's hand and then Sage.
Yeah, I just have a real concern with there being so many hotel rooms, I guess, in downtown, and I'd like to see more residential. And I'm just wondering also about the traffic patterns on Woodfin to Central, because in the afternoon, about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, there's an awful lot of traffic as the health department and other things are letting out. And I just think if, you have a lot of residential, you have more and more cars, you're looking at 8,000 square feet of commercial space. And if there is a grocery store there of some sort, I'm wondering, about delivery trucks, tractor trailers, all of those issues. And I haven't heard anything. I am having some computer issues, so I can't get into the building documents right now. I'm on my iPhone, so I apologize if they're there, but those are my big concerns. Mostly that it's more hotel rooms.
The TIA is in one of the submittals, the traffic impact analysis from, I think it was Mattern and Craig, and their conclusion was that there were no changes need to be made that the roads would serve, but that has not been accepted by either DOT or the city of Asheville yet. So we'll keep a handle on that as it goes. Sage, I see your hand.
I don't think this is an existing required view, but I would love to. I think I saw, is Warren on here? Is he part of this project? I would like to see the view coming in from 240 looking at this building. Do you remember when the new hotel outside the tunnel went up? We lost that beautiful shot of downtown. Did I miss it coming in? Because the contextual, with the other buildings in the background, not just theirs. That's what I would love to see. If it's a request or a requirement, I'm not sure, but heads up to the team, that would be helpful. I think we're getting like a 240 tunnel vision of hotels.
Sage, is this what you're talking about? Shannon just pulled this up for you.
No, I mean the contextual, and I'm not sure that it's required. I know Peter Alvarez has submitted some before where you actually drop it into the scene. You see the other buildings behind it. So we know we have a condo building on the other side of this, and we have.
Right. You want to see like the photoshopped image, like the
in place
Google Street View image with the building sort of photoshopped into it.
I think it would be helpful considering these are really tall buildings lining that highway entry to the city.
So for staff's notation for future downtown commission, those kind of storyboard images are really useful for us, and it's not really just a design issue. It is how is this impacting adjacent property owners? What is this doing for it's an overall downtown design issue, not just a project specific design issue. I'd like not a formal vote so much, but I would like for each commissioner to speak specifically to a certain portion of the units being used for extended stay. That's actually new. I think I've been to all the meetings that this has been at, and that's the first time I've heard that. I thought that they were keeping 150 units, that we weren't adding hotel rooms. So and I understand that extended stay is different, but it's a distinction that exists on paper in my mind more than anything else. So I would like each commissioner, if you haven't already spoken on it, to speak to that so that gets communicated clearly to council. Whether we have a formal vote on it or not. I don't know if y'all need a formal vote on that specific issue, but please speak to that if you would.
And Brian, you are correct. We had the original application just described 153 or 55 residential units. And as a result of staff requesting clarification on whether or not there was any expansion of the existing hotel, we just this week got clarification that the proposal is to have those extended stay units. So that is a new development. So that is something that we're looking at as we move this through the process.
Commissioner Franzi, I see your hand up.
Yeah, to your point, Chair Moffitt, I completely agree with Ruth and Andrew's points that it would be much more of an asset to downtown to have more residential units and to continue developing downtown in a way where the residents of Asheville want to stay there and live there, and so I'm just disappointed to see the extended stays in this development project.
Thank you. Gia? You're muted. Gio, you're muted.
Is that better? I wanted to piggyback sort of what Dane had said about the needs for some extended stay, but in this particular project, I kind of feel like this is not for people who are coming in being contractors or service workers. It's going to be so priced out of the right. Are those the people that we want to attract here? And I would much rather have those units be apartments or condominiums, but residential units, and not just some sort of a extended stay hotel. That's my comment.
Thank you. I see Dane and then Robin.
Yeah, I would just say, like everybody else, I would prefer to see more residential units, but it's 40 units in a 150 room hotel. I don't see that it's a major deal concerning the number of hotel rooms that we have in downtown. So it's, and like I said, I would prefer to see residential, but I don't see it as a major issue.
Thank you. Robin?
I'd prefer to see residential unless there was some real clarity on this extended stay, because like you said, that this is not going to be construction workers, and this is going to be somebody who doesn't live here buying a condo and making very good profits, I'm sure. So those are my thoughts.
Megan, then Sage, then Stephen.
Yeah, well, I was going to make a similar point to Robin's. I was a little not excited to see the hotel use come into this project. And there still seems to be some lack of clarity around how many rooms it might be. I mean, is this possible that this number will increase as the project moves forward? We don't know that, at least, or maybe Shannon can clarify that for us. But that would be another concern: is this number going to increase in terms of hotel use?
Well, by the time it gets to the Planning and Zoning Commission, we do want that ironed out, and we would normally reflect more specifically the room counts and such in the list of conditions that are adopted with a conditional zoning. So again, this is new information. We're in the process of trying to kind of further clarify that and get those conditions really worked out.
We're going to hear from Sage and Stephen Lee, and then I'm going to wrap this one up and move us along to the next one because we're burning daylight.
First, I just wanted to say thank you, y'all. I think, this design review process, or not design review process, has changed, but I think that what you're doing is actually going to be very helpful. One thing that comes to mind is this model that we haven't seen yet, where a mix of hotel or short-term extended stay, short-term rental, whatever you want to call it, helps with affordability. So since this project has a mix of residential apartments as well, I wonder if, the input is really around if it's going to have these other uses in there, can it then help create affordability apartments and such? So it'd be interesting to tie those together in a project for once.
Stephen Lee.
I was just trying to remember, Robin and Brian, this project has been before design review at least 4 times. Was it, and this is not really a design element, but was it mentioned at any time there was a hotel component in this project other than the existing building?
Yes, no, that's new. So staff was trying to get clarity on whether or not the existing hotel expanded, but what I was imagining was like, are there conference rooms being added? Is there a broader lobby being included? And I just wanted to be able to reflect that in the staff report. So we later got this clarification that some of the residential units would be extended stay as a result of that.
And just a quick question, Shannon, can you name an existing extended stay that's been recently built downtown?
Downtown.
Are there any at the Eris Hotel?
Just across from the one that's scheduled to be built across from Lee Walker Heights is extended stay. That was the last review one I remember.
And that one was not technically in the downtown. It's very close to downtown, but it's a different zoning district. The only project that I can think of along that might have those that has the extended stay units not yet constructed is, if you may recall, the Family Lodge project. It was the renovation of the 3 historic homes on Biltmore Avenue, and then the new construction that goes with it. The conversion of those homes into lodging units, I believe those were extended stay units. Like they have like bedrooms and kitchens.
Okay. So my only comment, Chairman, is that this is something that we should have known earlier. It would have been nice to have the discussion, but thank you.
Agreed. Guillaume, I'll let you go, and then I'm going to wrap this one up and we're going to move on. You're still muted. Okay, sorry. All right, so staff, what I've heard is that we are going to recommend that the applicant follow best practices for any trees that are planted in and along the edge of the property, that the applicant really look at the traffic impact, specifically for both pedestrian traffic, vehicular traffic, and delivery traffic, that the applicant, if they're asking for a variance for the existing hotel room as it faces central, that they really look at that facade and do something to address that so that they don't have to pursue a variance there, and that the Downtown Commission is not in favor of or would like to see those extended stay be actual residential uses or apartment uses instead of the extended stay uses. That's kind of what I heard, I think, and I think I captured most of it. So with that, we're not taking a vote at this time, and we are also going to reserve the right to possibly meet in either June or July and want to maybe see some updated stuff on this project, specifically in regards to those items. So with that, I'd like to move to 120 Biltmore Avenue, and I'll try to keep us moving on. You guys are doing great. It's not no one's fault. It's just a lot to talk about.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the next item on your agenda is the review of another multi-story mixed-use building, this one located at 120 Biltmore Avenue. Given the scale of this project, it is a level 2 site plan review. So this one will stop at the Planning and Zoning Commission, and it's just a ministerial review. So we're only looking at the project's ability to comply with the technical requirements. So it's not a CZ. We don't have that legislative process to kind of look at other best practices or other kind of special considerations that we want included. This is another one of those condominium hotel, extended stay hotel projects. This one has 43 units in the building, 40 of which would be extended stay hotel suites. So that would be 80 guest rooms total. Those are 2-bedroom units. And then the remaining 3 units would be condominium dwelling units, residential dwelling units. There is 3,100 square feet of commercial at the ground level. The applicant is planning on a restaurant and then possibly a small bit of retail. There, of the 9 stories, 3 levels are structured parking, supporting 59 spaces with 3 on-street spaces. As this is a hotel in the downtown and it is a level 2, public benefits are required, so they are included with this project. This project also would have to receive a positive recommendation from the Design Review Committee. Here is the site context. There's the site in the middle. The project has frontage on both Biltmore Avenue, which is on the west, and South Market Street to the north. There is also an opened alley right-of-way on the east side. That is south, we call it South Market Extension. I'm not sure if that's really the precise name for it, but that's what it's referred to as. And the project provides orientation on both on the primary streets. So Biltmore Avenue is the primary street, and that's where the project is predominantly oriented. But it does also front on South Market. Although South Market Extension is an open and publicly maintained right-of-way, we do still regard it as an alley, so we do not require the same kind of fenestration or design requirements on that side of the project. You can see the little cut-in here is where those 3 on-street parking spaces would be located. There is vehicular access to the property from South Market through this entrance, which actually is a ramp that you'll see in the building elevations that enters into the parking structure. There's also another entrance from the South Market Extension alley to another lower level entrance to, again, that another part of the parking structure itself. The primary facade here is the west elevation on Biltmore Avenue. You can see that ground level retail or commercial space here along the street frontage. I believe there's a little bit of outdoor space, like a dining area to support the proposed restaurant use. And then this project, of course, will have those wider improved sidewalks on both Biltmore and South Market Street. This is I did mention it was a 9-story building, but it's 6 stories really from Biltmore and Central Avenue. And this project site, if you're familiar with it, has some significant topography. And as you go down Central, if you cross over Biltmore Avenue and you go down South Market, it really drops in elevation. And this project takes advantage of that elevation drop. Turning the corner on South Market Street, this would be the Biltmore Avenue side. So you can see, again, that's the end of the restaurant. And then one of the main entrance for the residences. And then you can see how it starts to drop in elevation, and it's still 6 stories, but you can start to see some of the foundation that increases the overall visual impact of the project primarily from the rear, not so much on the South Market side. So then wrapping around, this is the rear from the South Market Extension, that's the alley side. And you can see here that ramp that is necessary in order to be able to reach the upper levels of the parking structure. There's that lower level entrance directly from the alley. So this is the area of the 3 levels of parking with the 6 stories above. And then coming along to the south elevation that just borders the adjacent property to the south. And again, you see some of that exposed parking structure and then the residential stories above. And that concludes my introduction. Be happy to answer any questions or welcome any feedback. Oh, I should mention, as this is a level 2, there are no exceptions being requested. That this project will comply with all of the downtown requirements and other UDO requirements.
Shannon, if I can just make sure I'm understanding, because I'm also looking at the email from Warren. There's 43 total units, and 40 of those units are the extended stay. 3 of those units are going to be condos. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's correct. So the very large majority of this project is an extended stay hotel as they have proposed it. Because of the individual condominium ownership, I mean, we are still discussing this at a city level as to whether or not those kinds of units are more similar to short-term vacation rentals, or if they're more similar to, or they meet the definition of an extended stay hotel. They do propose to manage these under one management group. It's a local group, but it is a local group who manages luxury short-term vacation rentals. So this one's a little bit less clear. You don't have that flag, the Marriott flag or other flags that are operating, but there is some question about whether functionally they are, from a land use standpoint, they operate identically. So this is just something that we're discussing internally, and hope to have better clarity moving forward. So I don't know yet what the outcome of that discussion will be. I mean, it's kind of early days, so we've just identified that there are these projects being requested, and so we want to make sure the council is aware and that that our development requirements reflect their intent and the vision, the community's vision for the downtown and other parts of the city.
One last question, then I see four hands. What are the public benefits they're offering?
I believe it is affordable housing, contributions to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and I think there may be some other, I forget, that hasn't been submitted yet, so we don't have those details yet. But conceptually, they've kind of talked about it. They just, at this stage, a lot of folks will just say they will meet the public benefits.
Gotcha. Megan, I see your hand, and then Robin, Stephen, and Gio.
Yeah, so Shannon started to touch on my concern, but this is my first project review as a new commissioner, but this extended stay designation feels like a workaround to short-term rentals to me. So I appreciate that there's more thought going into that from a city, from the city folks, but just want to point that out because that concerns me.
Agreed. Thank you. Robin?
I don't have a question, but Peter Alvarez has requested that he gets to comment on this. So I'm just letting you know that he wants to speak.
He's here, right?
I know.
think I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's up to the commission if they want to have the applicant speak.
I'm seeing some nods. I don't have a problem with it for sure. Okay. All right. We'll get Stephen Lee, and then we'll let and Gio, and then we'll let Peter speak.
My only comment was that we did, I think, reviewed this twice in the design review committee, and we, in terms of the site, they were all favorable requirements, especially how they're accessing their garage and having minimal impact. So that's my only comment.
Gio?
I want to piggyback what Megan said. Is I think we're just creating a short-term stay or a hotel using, a loophole. So that's my point. I really think that people are trying to use workarounds to get to that, that hotel and short-term stay level.
Okay. I don't think Peter, if you're here, you should be able to unmute and speak, I think. Maybe not.
He was here. I think he has the link. I don't see Peter here now.
I see his name on there, but
oh, you do?
Yeah. He can't unmute. He says he's texting me. He can't unmute.
*6.
Oh, it's in the public input. Whoever's managing.
Oh! I didn't. 1 second. Yes.
You have to hit *6 to let folks to unmute them in Google Meets.
He's not in those.
I don't.
He's not.
No, sorry, he's not.
Yeah.
Maybe Robin, you could text him back and say we fixed the mute problem, and he could call back in or try now. I don't know if he's calling or if he's just trying. He's in the meeting, so
he was joined in the meeting. It looks like he is. I will. I could kick him out, and then he could try to rejoin.
Could try that.
Okay, I'm going to echo what Stephen Lee said, that when we reviewed the project from a design standpoint, we were generally in favor of it, as I recall. I thought the massing, I thought the way they were using the site, I thought they were doing a lot of good things. My issues with this are and I think they even had a lot of the traffic figured out for the density they were looking at. It was primarily it's this extended stay. There's Peter.
Okay, Peter.
There we go.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for letting me into the meeting. There's a lot of information that was discussed at the 4 Points project and this project as well that I'd like to try to clarify so that the commission has a better idea of what the intention of the project is. First of all, at 4 Points, we made the decision to introduce the extended stay hotel component into the project late because we did not know what the outcome of City Council's changing of the hotel regulation was going to be throughout the entire design review process, design committee process, and the time that we spent with the 2 neighborhood meetings. So we didn't know what the rules were going to be until the end of February. We made the decision at that point to introduce the extended stay hotel component into the project because in the new zoning ordinance, that is what is allowed as a use in the hotel overlay district as long as the community benefits are being met. At 4 Points, we're going to cap the number of rooms that will be allowed to be in the extended stay portion of the hotel to 80. And the number of, I believe the dollar value, whatever the dollar value is that's required in the community benefits for affordable housing will be met. And we're also going to meet the 2 Green Globes sustainability portion of the project. So, well, there may be some issue about now all of a sudden there's a workaround for short-term vacation rentals. Short-term vacation rentals are more informal in terms of how they're set up and managed. In both of these projects, they will be managed by professional hotel management companies that will, that are experienced in handling reservations and managing spaces and paying fees, dues, taxes. And both developers in each of these projects are more than willing to pay into the community benefits programs, particularly in workforce or in affordable housing. I think the commission, and we all need to, as we work through this, need to keep in mind that the whole reason and the benefit that the community receives by both of these projects is there'll be well over $1 million contributed into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Plus, there'll be 2 projects that have Green Globes certification, which speaks to the city's overall goal of having sustainability in the projects.
Peter, I'm sorry, but I have to interrupt that the 4 Points project, we do not apply public benefits to a conditional zoning. The public benefits table is an incentive for smaller or moderate scale projects to skip council review if they have a hotel, but and so it by providing these public benefits. So that it applies to the level 2 for 120 Biltmore. It does not apply to this project for 4 Points. Now the Green Globe is something that can be included as a condition of the conditional zoning because it's an element that's included in the project.
Right.
But any contributions to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, that doesn't go into consideration.
So if there were a brand new hotel with 115 rooms, which would be over 100,000 square feet, that would require city council approval, that would still need to meet the community benefits table or not?
No, any conditional zoning does not, we do not apply the community benefits table to any conditional zoning.
So there's no, if the project is larger than a level 2 and requires conditional zoning and it's a hotel, there's no community benefits required?
Correct.
Okay, well that seems to be a contradiction to the whole goal of having hotel developers contribute to affordable housing. I mean, right now you're capping the size at 100,000 square feet or less, or 100 feet in height or less, and you've boxed in the opportunity to have more affordable housing by not allowing the larger projects or require, I guess but that's just, let's just not talk about
I think it depends on,
uh,
yeah, I think it's a matter of perspective. There was concern that if the projects were of a significant size or significant impact, that we still wanted council review.
right.
And the public benefits table is an incentive to skip council review. So if you're going before council, we do not use the public benefits table.
Okay, so
But
And I
that's the
think, you know, and
baseline
I
for
think, you know, for a very large project, that is an important consideration. You know, do we, you know, is that something that, you know, rather than make a contribution as is allowed in the public benefits table to affordable housing, the preference may be to include affordable housing in the project as an example, you know, because it's meant to really be that any kind of public benefits are meant to be incorporated specifically into the project.
okay.
Peter, we're running short on time.
Yeah,
We have about
I
4
just
minutes
want
left. Did you have anything else that you wanted to address regarding specifically 4 Points and 120 Biltmore, any of the design issues or stuff that we've kind of brought up? Okay. Commissioners, are there any other items that we need to consider specifically regarding 120 Biltmore? Ruth, I see your hand.
Yeah, I just have to bring this up. I'm sorry. People are so tired of hearing me talk about this, but 59 spaces of parking for 80 guest rooms, 3 condos. It's just not enough. I'm sorry. So that's all I'll say.
I think it's 43 units, correct? Is that right, Shannon?
I said it was 80.
Yeah, actually, Ruth.
Isn't it 80 guest rooms?
It is. It's 80 guest rooms. It's 40 units with 2 bedrooms in each unit. So that just makes me realize this is another project where we just have gotten this clarity. It was originally described as a residential condominium project, which does not require parking. Hotels, however, do require parking. So now with this clarification, I'm not sure that this project meets the parking requirement. So they may have to adjust their number of units.
A 2-bedroom apartment, it's you can easily conceive that they might just have 1 car, but 2-unit guest room is a whole different thing. Yes, thank you, Ruth. Anyone else need to address that? I apologize for hurrying us along, but I'm trying to respect your time. Okay, so for staff then to communicate to the designer, I didn't hear a ton of stuff for the design review committee specifically, other than our normal of let's look at street trees, let's look at massing and make sure that they're doing that correctly. But to communicate directly to council, we do have issues with, or just we're not quite sure we understand the whole extended stay versus a hotel, and there is an issue with that with parking, it sounds like. So we'll take that and move on. Have I missed anything, folks? Looking at your faces. No. Okay. Very good. Sasha, you are up with South Slope Vision Plan updates.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Shannon. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chair, can I get some clarification on, are y'all still trying to end by 11? Like, drive like 2 minutes. I don't want to go over time, and I don't want to start talking.
I'm good to keep going. Just a quick straw poll. Is everybody okay to go to at least 11:15 or so? Yeah. Okay.
I'll still keep it short, but
okay. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen really quickly. So, we've been working on this South Slope plan for a long time. And I was originally thinking that I'd give you a kind of an overview of the entire plan. But really, Dana and I talked this through and thought, well, maybe it's just better to kind of give you a little taste, a very tiny taste of what's coming, and then ask for your feedback on how you want to spend your time. Like if we had one meeting to really dive into the plan, and I don't know if we need a special meeting or not. Basically, I'm waiting on one or two people to finish giving me edits, and then I have to run it past the city manager, but then we hope to release it to the public and do like a good 3-4 week review where people can participate digitally and look at different parts of the plan. Just as a reminder, this is our study area. So it includes the kind of southern part of the CBD, Central Business District, and then some of these other outlying the innovation district areas. How the plan is organized is basically we have 5 themes: quality built environment, unique inclusive sense of place, strong local economy, multimodal transportation, and strategic infrastructure and natural environment. And, there are things in all of these themes that overlap with each other. And then we also have 10 key initiatives. So I'm just giving you a taste of what's coming. This is kind of the initial layout of how it's looking. We've got a great graphic designer working with us. So this is just like the first page of the quality built environment. Then we have these 10 key initiatives that are the outer circles on that. We call it the flower diagram. So we've got 10 key initiatives. And really, we're these are things that either we know we want to do anyway, that we're kind of already in the works. Some of them are things we know we need to work on, like updating zoning and design guidelines for downtown. Honoring African American history are the things already going on with that. The South Slope Neighborhood Association has been working hard on history and on art throughout the district. So basically, these are key initiatives that relate to those 5 themes. And some are very concrete and some are a little bit more abstract. So, and I would say that equity is definitely, we've tried to weave it throughout the entire plan, especially around equitable development, strong local economy, and things like that. So this is just another example of one of the key initiatives around honoring African American history. There's multiple pages, but I just clipped out a couple. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I can't see you all, and I can go back to that. But basically, I could send this to you in the email, or I could get feedback from you individually if you like. Are there things around? I know we have the local living economy working group. I mean, maybe we want to spend more time on that. Are there certain areas around downtown of downtown topics that you want to spend more time talking about in this plan than others, or any other feedback you have about how you can review individually? You'll be able to participate just like any other citizen, when we open the portal, and you'll be able to explore the plan and give comments on all the sections, so that, everybody will have that opportunity. It's more about, since Downtown Commission does have limited time, how would you like to spend your time?
Franzi.
I know part of part of this whole plan is keeping Asheville and downtown unique and special, but without having any ability to create ordinances around who owns the properties or the businesses, and of course, ownership by disenfranchised people and entrepreneurs is so key. I would love to see this commission have some help develop this area and create some unique or creative ways to make sure that as we make this area awesome and sexy, we're not also just piling on another layer of gentrification and corporate takeover. And I did say this to the South Slope Neighborhood Association
pre-pandemic actually, that we're trying to walk a line here on this plan with kind of exactly what the issue you just identified. Like there are some pretty sexy pictures, pretty sexy pictures in here, but really that's not the emphasis. It's really how do we continue to grow, accommodate growth, but also provide opportunities for people who are disenfranchised and not make it an exclusive area, right? Like if you walk into the South Slope, do you only feel comfortable if you're a white person, or, you know, all of those issues. I mean, and some people might say we've already lost that, but I think it doesn't mean we can't change that, hopefully.
Any other comments for Sasha on helping her get feedback from us? Sasha, I think I'd like you to send that to us and allow us to send you any comments individually as well. One, because we're a little bit pressed for time, but two, because I think it's going to take us some time to digest it. And then we can see specifically. I mean, obviously, we're going to be working with that group when we talk about the master plan, which affects part of the South Slope, but not the entirety of it. And obviously, we're going to be interested in how it affects the local economy and how it affects local businesses. Sage, I saw you try to turn your thing on, and I talked.
That's okay. I'm just curious, like, what the timeline is. Is there another meeting where the commission could talk about this? I mean,
oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm just trying to plan for input. I'm not.
Yeah. I just want to encourage the commission to weigh in. I know, you know, other cities are much bigger than us, and I know it feels like a lot is going on. We're growing quickly, but if we have the opportunity to help shape South Slope when there's still time to shape it. So I would love for us all to get involved and weigh in on this. I don't know a better body that is reviewing this and paying attention. So I would love to see it come back.
Oh yeah, it definitely will come back. So I guess the goal is, it's a moving target, which drives me and everybody else insane. But the goal is to release the plan publicly, right? So then we would have 3 or 4 weeks. And I'm hoping during that month, people are participating individually. We do have an advisory committee. Robin is serving on that. We would go to the South Slope Neighborhood Association. We would come to you all. We might do some focus groups with some folks who we're not reaching, and kind of collect all that input and see if we still need to edit or add things. What did we miss? What did we get wrong? All of those kinds of things. So, and then really when we get to that final draft, I would think we're coming back to you all for like an endorsement before it goes to Planning and Zoning and City Council.
So we can.
You'll see it at least 2 more times in your meetings.
But I think part of, what would be helpful is and maybe you all don't know that until you take a look through, but if off the bat you feel like there's a section that you may want to take a deep dive on, because then we can plan on that with you. Maybe it's local economy, maybe it's zoning, but maybe first, if we can just share those different sections back out with you, and if you all want to think about that, or if you want to set up some separate focus group meetings amongst you, bring it to one of the working groups or whatever, then we would be happy to work with you all on that too.
Let's plan on, Sasha, if you could send that out to us for our review, and then we'll see if we can't get some of the working groups to look at specific sections prior to our next meeting, so that we've got some really, I lost you, Sasha. There you go.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, the draft's not ready yet. So
Okay.
We'll go over like in detail with groups when the draft is publicly available. But
Okay.
I have to get some clearance from people above me.
I got you. Okay, very good. Any other questions for Sasha on South Slope Vision Plan? Very good, thank you. I'm going to hustle us along. Thank you folks for sticking with us past 11. We're going to try to wrap up around 11:15-ish. Asheville Downtown Association update and report. Megan?
Yep. So while we're talking about South Slope, I wanted to mention that our project manager recently wrapped up the necessary documentation and copy for the South Slope mural trail That's now in the hands of Explore Asheville to be built out on their website. So hopefully in the next few weeks, maybe few months, we'll see that go live. We had 46 downtown businesses take advantage of our free membership offer, also extended memberships for all of our current members, which brings us to a total membership of 413, mostly small businesses. I'm tentatively planning to start events in July. I definitely still have a lot of anxiety around large events, but possibly looking at a July downtown after 5, so that would be mid-July. And those do support local service providers, food vendors, and musicians who are looking to get back to work as well. We're working with the Urban Trail Committee on a rededication of 3 markers that were either out because of construction projects, or in the case of Catwalk, one of the cats was stolen. So that's going to be June 29th. We can extend an invitation to the commission if you all would like to come to that rededication ceremony. It's shopping days here on Haywood Street, Groves Vision over by Battery Park, and then of course Catwalk on Wall Street. And then lastly, we had 19 applications for our multicultural grant program that we're working with Mountain BizWorks on. These are for BIPOC-owned businesses within downtown or mobile businesses that do work in downtown. Of those 19, I think a few of them don't actually qualify because they're not in the central business district. But we're looking to, but there's some great applicants on there, and a lot of them are in the block area, which I think is great. We're probably going to make a decision on those grants. We'll have 7 $2,500 grants to BIPOC-owned businesses in downtown. I think we're going to make decisions on that next week, so that news should be out soon. And that's all I have, unless there's any questions.
Yeah.
Megan, I know this is not something that but does anyone know whether Shindig is going to come back this summer?
The last I heard from them, they were starting to talk about whether or not they could do the event at a private location, like I believe Rabbit Rabbit. But now that we're hearing that restrictions are likely to be lifted, they may be ready to go back to Pecksboro Park.
Very good. Thank you so much, Megan. We'll keep going. Local Living Economy Working Group, Franzi.
No significant updates.
Thank you. Wow. So we had a couple of things come up regarding parking and transportation. Specifically, I had a couple of emails.
Hopefully, it'll be over soon.
Regarding fees, and Dana, if you want to speak to that just a little bit.
Sure, yes. So the Parking and Transportation Committee met, and transportation staff discussed various parking rate changes and equipment upgrades. There's actually a lot going on, a lot of updates and changes being made. Those items went to City Council's Finance Committee after the working group met, and on to City Council. And so at this point, new changes have been approved and made, and I know that transportation staff appreciated, and I know that Councilwoman Turner carried some of that feedback on through the committee and full council. So parking hourly rates in the garages are going up to $2 an hour from $1.25. And the new equipment, it doesn't take coins, which is why the rate had to be an even dollar amount. But there are going to be some great updates or service improvements associated with that. The first hour of parking in the garages is free again. So that is one change that wasn't initially proposed to the Parking and Transportation Working Group. That was changed before it got to City Council. And a shout out to the whole committee and their feedback, and to Councilwoman Turner. So the first hour is free. So if you stay for 2 hours, you pay $2. The first hour remains free. That was a change from what it has been. There's also some new monthly parking options. There's a 12-hour option, and that's really targeted to serve downtown workers. So you don't have to pay for a monthly rate that gives you access to the garages 24 hours. You can pay for a rate during a 12-hour period of time. And then there's some other rate changes for different monthly lots around downtown. The earliest this will roll out is July 1st. So I know that there'll be more details to come, but just wanted to mention those few pieces. And if anyone else has anything to add, Sage, if you have anything to add.
Real quick, because we heard this at council, but so it does need to be an even dollar, and we're not doing coinage. We are doing paper bills still, so that it's not a no cash option. It's just no coins, and that wasn't clear to a lot of folks. So I want to make sure to say it. But I'm really thrilled the first hour free is back. I'm really thrilled for the 12-hour parking option for workforce. I think it's a good win. Thanks for y'all. I know some of y'all really hustled to get a meeting together to get that input. Thank you.
Okay. Any other, Ruth, do we want to talk about that or push that to next time? Okay. Very good. Any other, Gio, do you have your hand up for this? Okay. Very good. Well, get ready to talk anyway. Open Space Task Force.
All right. We just last 2 days actually we've met twice, and we've finished our Open Space Task Force recommendations. And let me go through them quickly. And I hope and I know I'm going to go. There may be some questions about this, and I may not be able to completely answer them. But let me bring forward some of the recommendations that we are taking forward. We have added some zoning districts to require open space, and those include light industrial and River Arts District Form Code into the district form code. We are using a tiered system for open space that really incentivizes the ecological value of open space. There was a lot of good discussion about open space versus parks versus so forth. I won't get into all of that, but we are going to incentivize the quality of open space from the across the board reduction to 5% of open space, increased instead to only a 5% reduction. So we're actually increasing open space by 5%. In mixed use commercial areas, we are reducing that from 15% to 10%. And in lieu of requiring open space downtown, we are recommending the new tree planting specifications, i.e. silver cells. So that's something that we're kind of excited about, that it will be more of a requirement as opposed to just an incentive. And then we've adjusted some standards. For example, in order to be able to move buildings and footprints around, we've reduced the dimension of any open space from a 24-foot to 10-foot in any direction. So that allows for a little bit more adjustment within a site for the building to preserve open space, contiguous open space, and so forth. We've reduced the minimum open space area from 600 square feet to 200 square feet. Once again, to be able to accommodate buildings on a site and to be able to have larger contiguous open space. Landscape buffers are now acceptable. We are recommending that landscape buffers be accepted as areas of required open space, which we did not have before. Minimum contiguous areas are going to be increased from 40% to 50%. Walkable connections through retaining walls. This is very technical stuff, but we were requiring 8-foot wide walkways. We're reducing that just down to 6 feet. And finally, it used to be that we wanted 75% of open space to be less than 50%, but considering the way that topography works and developable land, we have reduced that requirement for 50% of open space to be less than 5% slope. And that's really about, those are our recommendations going forward.
Thank you. That was way better than I was going to be able to do. Any questions for the folks that have been working on this? Seeing none, you've got like 2 minutes to do a downtown update report.
Luckily, it's a report that you may view whenever you would like to. I'll just note a few things. First, the city's budget process, and the next steps are that the city manager will present the proposed budget to City Council on May 25th. And that, May 25th. And then the public hearing on the budget is scheduled for June 8th. So I just wanted to flag those 2 dates. An adoption scheduled for June 22nd. I've also listed out some of those fee changes related to parking that I previously mentioned, so you can see those on the report. We will be rolling out a timeline for the outdoor expansion initiative soon. There's not, I don't anticipate an end date in the near future for those programs, but we will clarify that timeline very soon for the public and for participating businesses. The American Rescue Plan Act, just wanted, don't have a lot of substantive updates, but wanted to let you all know that there's the city has an internal team that's working on a process that will vet various uses of those funds. The Treasury Department provided detailed guidance just this week, so staff is working on gaining a better understanding of possibilities and limitations. And I did provide a link to the most recent presentation that staff provided to City Council on that funding. That's from April 27th. Vance Monument removal. So that work is coming up, and you may see work on the site as early as next Friday with a construction fence going up. And there will be some closures of the area around the monument itself, as well as some street closures, including South Pack Square for a period of time, about 10 days. We will be communicating those details out next week, particularly with the closures and disruptions. So just a heads up that is coming soon. The noise ordinance, Gio.
Just back on the Vance really quickly, how much input will our commission have on what is going to replace Vance?
So that process hasn't even pre-started yet, I would say. So demolition will be happening, and then there'll be more work to consider what that visioning process will look like or how that will even begin. So I recognize the interest, and please keep asking the questions, but staff just isn't there yet. The noise ordinance. So staff is planning to present a revised draft ordinance to City Council's Public Safety Committee on May 25th. And that's tentatively scheduled to go to City Council on June 22nd. Staff is going to be recommending a delayed ordinance effective date for those changes. But I also just want to flag those dates and encourage you all to check back on that. I know you all got an update in February on an overview of the changes, and staff, development services staff, has been working since that time to get additional input, specifically from the music venue community and from resident stakeholder group, to try to find some common ground and come up with some compromise solutions in this next draft. And so look for that in the coming weeks. And I see that Mr. Barger, you have a question. You're muted.
Thanks, Dana. I've been getting a lot of complaints about the noise ordinance. We saw the public comment from Peter Landis, And I really would recommend that the noise ordinance come back through this commission before it goes to council, because there's a lot of heat coming down about the noise ordinance from people downtown. So I'm just passing that on. And so I think it would behoove this commission and council to listen to those complaints.
Dane, I'm thinking we probably are going to need a June 11th meeting based on just what we talked about today with some of the design reviews, the two projects that we talked about. And if this ordinance is going in on the 22nd, we might want to meet ahead of time. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but that's where my instinct is right now.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks for that. I will just note that the last time Development Services staff heard from this body was in February, and this next iteration of the plan should be incorporating this most recent round of feedback. But I hear you that looking at what those changes are is something that you all would be interested in. So noted. Thank you. And that is all that I have. Happy to answer any other questions.
Okay, folks, those are our updates and reports. Are there any comments regarding any of those items or any other informal discussion, future agenda items that we need to bring up right now? Thank you so much for sticking with us for the extra 20 minutes. I really appreciate that. Okay, I'm not seeing anybody raise their hands or jump up and down. So with that, unless there are any objections, I move and ask us to adjourn.
Second.
Very good. Thank you so much. Talk soon.